Anyone that doesn't have a chance to join us today has an opportunity to view the session afterwards. So let me just share my screen. So welcome everybody. This is our third information session that we're running for the nabs Kilimanjaro climb in October of 2023. Let me just do one more thing. Excited to have you all join us. Just a few housekeeping items. So I mentioned the session is going to be recorded. We'll host it on our YouTube channel. So if you know someone that was unable to join today, you can feel free. I'm going to follow up with a link to that recording. You can feel free to send that information to them as well. So 2023 is NAB's 40th anniversary. Should also mention that it is our Quebec Arms 20th anniversary. They're known as BEC in Quebec. And so we've been looking for ways to support the various programming and services that we've expanded on over the last few years and look for a creative way to fundraise. And we decided to go back to an idea that had been so successful for us in 2015 and 2016, which was our Kilimanjaro climbs. So here's a shot from our 2015 climb. We had a group of 18 with us. This could be you in October. In about 9 months, there's some estimates that put the number of people that attempt to summit Kilimanjaro at around 30,000 people a year. And honestly, we believe with the right preparation, right climb crew, right team, you can be very confident that you could summit with us as part of our team in October and have an incredible experience. So Louise and I, as we kind of work through this presentation, just so you know, Louise and I summited as part of this team in 2015. So you may be able to pick us out if you look really closely. So we're speaking from experience here. We've both done this, was an incredible experience, life-changing experience. That I recommend to anyone that asks me about it. And I would love to have the opportunity someday to even do it again. It was that incredible. So I just want to start with some basics. I don't want to take anything for granted. People come at this with different levels of information and different levels of knowledge about the climb, Tanzania, what you're going to be doing while you're there. So just get some basics out of the way. So to participate in this climb, you're going to be traveling to Tanzania, which is located in East Africa. Given its geographic location, climate, and natural beauty, it's really known internationally for several things. Diverse wildlife. So we're going to talk about some side trips that you may want to take a look at while you're in Tanzania. There's large tracts of protected land that makes it an ideal place to go on safari. Then, of course, there's Zanzibar, which we're going to talk a little bit about as well, that has become a huge resort destination on the east coast of Africa. And then why we're all here today, Kilimanjaro. So Kilimanjaro, I've been there a few times. I can speak from personal experience, is absolutely stunning. For those of you that are interested, it's actually a dormant volcano. So that's hence that conical shape. That has a crater at the center of the peak. It's actually the highest point in Africa at 5,895 meters above sea level, almost 700 meters higher than Mount Kenya in Kenya. And actually, what makes Kilimanjaro very cool is the fact that it's the highest freestanding mountain in the world. And what that means is that it stands alone and is not part of a mountain range. So when you see shots of Kilimanjaro, it's no accident that in almost every single profile shot, you have Kilimanjaro peeking out from the crust of the earth, and then there's pretty much flat land all the way around it. So as you can imagine, Kili's become a major hiking and climbing destination. And for those of you that are super adventurous and this starts some lifelong passion of yours to become a mountaineer, Kilimanjaro is one of the 7 summits. So those are the highest mountains on each of the 7 continents, for which some is a lifelong bucket list type of dream accomplishment. So climbing Kili, what can I really say? I say it a lot. It might be cliche, but this is a once in a lifetime experience. People rarely have the opportunity to do something like this, and it takes for some it takes a campaign like this to get them going, to get them interested. So we're planning a late October 2023 climb. You're going to need to be away for 2 weeks. That's inclusive of your travel time to and from Tanzania. That said, if you plan on adding activities to your trip, you're going to need a little bit more time. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. It's an incredible experience. While challenging, it's very achievable. So with the right prep, I think the key being the right climb team. So the team that you're going to be working with at Tanzania elsewhere that we're going to talk about. And then with those two components and with that little bit of preparation, almost anyone can summit. So I want to be clear because this comes up a lot. This is a long multi-day hike. It's a non-technical climb. So you're not out there with pickaxes on the side of a cliff edge, making your way up the mountain face. You're going to be working with a climb crew from Tanzania elsewhere. They have a very high summit rate. We actually worked with the head guide for Tanzania elsewhere in our previous 2 climbs. Very important factor is the route that you're going to take as well, which we've selected to be the Nomosho route. It's beautiful, it's scenic, it has a good pace for acclimatization to altitude, which we're going to talk about. And you get a great experience. You get to experience great variety of terrain as you make your way up the south side of the national park. It's really quite special. So we're looking to build a climb team of 20. Louise, just to confirm, you can see my slide here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So as I mentioned, Louise and I can speak from personal experience. We climbed, Louise and I, in 2015. Over those 2 climbs in 2015 and 2016, we had 28 climbers total. In this photo here, this is actually Louise, myself, and one of our colleagues, Alana Spratt. I joke in the email that you can always ask Louise for her hat as a memento, and you can make your way up the mountain with that really fashionable hat as well, if you feel like it. All ages, really, from early 20s to late 60s, summited, all fitness levels. Got to meet and spend some time and bond with some really great people. I really don't want to undersell this because for many, this was a big opportunity for them to do some reflection on their lives, personal growth. Interestingly enough, many from our group came back and made some very big life decisions after the climb, whether around their career pathing, relationships, which I found really interesting. And what I really found special was the team rallied around the group to support each other, getting everyone to the top, checking in on everyone every day, uplifting spirits, which I also thought was really cool. Just on the climb company, so we're going to be climbing with Tanzania elsewhere. They run Kili climbs, but they also do other activities in and around the Kilimanjaro area in Tanzania. Most importantly, they are led by Elias, who was the head guide for both of our climbs, just a really special person. And he took a really personal interest in each climber and takes care of you as you make your way up the mountain to really increase your chances of summiting and summiting safely, which is key. He's brought in a lot of his great crew that we've been able to work with in the past. They just do it right. There's a reason their summit rate is so high. They allow the group to separate a little bit as you go day by day, just as you go on your day hikes. Give people a chance to find a pace that works for them, making sure that no one's overexerting themselves. Safety is their #1 concern. So you have 2 safety checks a day, how you're feeling, food and hydration, heart rate, those types of things. Food is delicious, and that really helps sustain you and get you ready for the days ahead. And it's just really want to stress here, it is our goal, as well as the team at Tanzania elsewhere, that everyone on the team summits. So we want everyone to summit, and we want everyone to summit safely. I thought I would take a little bit of time to walk you through what you would experience, what your experience on the climb looks like. Short overview of every day by day, and show you some of the photos from our climb. You're going to see shots from the Lemosho climb route that we took, that you would be taking. And as you can see from this map, you traverse a good portion of the west and south areas of the park as you make your way up to the summit. So why the Lemosho route? I talked a little bit about it off the top, but I'm going to go in more detail here. It ends up being an 8-day trek, 2 half days, the half days being first day and last day. So if you think about how the climb is bookended, on the first day, you spend the morning with breakfast at the hotel. We pack up the trucks, travel a few hours to the west entrance of the park. And then thinking about the last day, you get to the South Park entrance, which is Mweka Gate, about midday. You have a little mini celebration with the climb crew, drive back to the hotel, where you arrive in the early afternoon. So Lemosho is considered one of the most beautiful routes. You have really panoramic vistas as you traverse the south side of the mountain. Variety of terrain, which is really interesting. So you start in the rainforest, you're hiking through tundra, desert, and then as you summit, you get that really nice view of the south end of the park. Really high summit rates. It elongates the schedule a little bit to give your body more time to acclimatize to the altitude. It's structured in a way where during the day, you're hiking at a higher altitude, you're resting for the evening and sleeping at a lower altitude. This climb high, sleep low method really helps your body acclimatize as you make your way up the mountain. And just an extra bonus, there's just less climber traffic, which is also kind of nice. So there's periods of time, there was some days where we felt like we were the only climb team on the mountain, which was pretty cool. So Lemosho route, just to give you a sense here what things look day by day, you can kind of read through what to expect on a daily basis. Keep in mind there are tons of great resources online as you're doing your research. I highlighted in this deck, which I will also share post session, the types of terrain you can expect on each day. You're going to notice in the first half of the climb, you start out in the rainforest. On the western side of the park, you move through the savanna and tall grass, meadows, and then through alpine deserts. You're usually hiking about 5 to 8 hours a day. To be perfectly honest, a lot of those estimates are very conservative, but just so you kind of know what the top end of that looks like. And then you usually expect to be in camp by late afternoon where you rest, have some personal time. What we did a lot was, chat with other climbers, play card games, get to know each other, and talk about our experience of that past day with the rest of the team, which was really fun. And then in the second half of the climb, this is where you're really spending a lot of your time acclimatizing to higher altitudes. Remember that climb high, sleep low strategy. A few shorter climbing days before summit day so that you can save up your energy making your way through that tundra landscape. There is a short section of semi-vertical climbing, so you're kind of walking along a rock face, but there's a path there for you. Again, you're not using pickaxes or anything like that, but it's nice and slow that day, and you get plenty of support along the way. And then on day 6, you spend a lot of your time looking at the summit that you're going to be attempting the following day, making your way to Barafu camp, and that's where you camp before summit day. And then on day 7, you make your way to the summit, and while it's on average 12 hours of hiking, which we found in our groups, the adrenaline and excitement really fuels you that day, and many in our group didn't even find that day that long, and you pretty much feel it when you get back to camp at the end of the climb or at the end of that day. I want to call something out here. So we've decided to summit in the early afternoon versus at sunrise. There's way better summit rates. It's much safer because you don't spend the majority of your morning hiking in the dark. Just in case you see that option when you do your own research online. And then on day 8, after a little celebration at Mweka Gate with the climb crew, you're in the truck traveling back to the hotel. Like you can be in the restaurant in the hotel by 2 to 3 p.m., full beverage in hand, laughing and reminiscing about your climb experience with the rest of the team. I also include this here just to give you another another way of presenting the information gives you kind of a view of what to expect, like as how you're making up the altitude along the way. And just to give you a sense of how your body is acclimatizing day by day as well. Really helps you appreciate the amount of progress you make over those 8 days. So what is this going to cost you? So there's 2 main costs that I'm going to talk about separately because there's different factors at play. And then we're going to talk about fundraising and how there's an interplay between those 2 things. So for the climb itself, the all-in cost for the entire experience is about $5,000. It's going to be dependent on the final size of the group, but that's the high end. So it's going to be in that $45,000 to $5,000 range. All-inclusive price includes everything from the moment you arrive in the airport in Kilimanjaro to be picked up to the moment you're dropped off and leave from that same airport coming back home. Transportation to and from, your costs at the hotel for room and board, meals pre and post climb. Then of course, all the climb costs. So there's park fees associated with entering the park, food and beverage, staff, climb rentals. The only thing it does not include is alcohol. So if you want to have a drink at the hotel pre or post climb, that's out of pocket. You don't drink on the climb, so that's a non-factor. And then of course, your flight, which in our experience is usually around $1,500. So this assumes you're leaving from Toronto. And our best experience has been with Turkish Air, which is an Air Canada partner. Why I separate these 2 things out is because the flight is very dependent on the individual. So where are you coming from in the country? Some people will use points for parts of those, legs of those flights. So something for each person to consider independently. Some other things to keep in mind. So you may choose to add activities to your trip. Again, like this is Tanzania, so you're probably not going to Tanzania too often. If you're considering doing any of these, we'll have follow-up conversations for anyone that would like to have further questions. We'll do a one-on-one conversation, and then I will be connecting you with Louise, who's been in market many times, has a lot of great relationships with providers in market to help you find what you're looking for. There may even be a cohort of individuals that are looking to do something similar. So we may be able to group you up and build an itinerary around those activities. She's already built some initial thoughts on single day safaris and other activities that are really reasonably priced. You may want to look at a few things. So as I said, you don't go to Tanzania every day. You may want to consider a safari. You're going to be able to see some incredible wildlife just a few short hours away from where you're going to be in Kilimanjaro. 2 popular ones, Serengeti National Park, inspiration for Lion King. I don't know what else I could possibly say beyond that to get you more excited than that. Then of course, the Ngorongoro crater, also called the Garden of Eden, where you're going to get up close and personal with just really incredible wildlife. So that's another one that I encourage you to take a look at. And then another consideration is Zanzibar, which is absolutely stunning. Only a 1-hour flight from Kili. You can explore Stone Town, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You can also do the resort thing to relax pre or post climb, snorkeling, surfing. Louise knows all the spots, so definitely worth a conversation if you're thinking about it. And then finally, fundraising. So why NABS is going to do this? So we want this to be one of our tentpole fundraising initiatives this year, really helping us fund the unprecedented program and service delivery growth that we've managed through the pandemic. Also a celebration of our 40th anniversary since our inception this year. So what we've done is we've worked with our climb provider in Tanzania elsewhere to build a fundraising plan that helps us really accomplish 2 things. So we want to make this as accessible as possible by helping subsidize climb costs at various fundraising thresholds. And then we also want to ensure that we're trying to incentivize climbers to raise more additional funds. So helping us maximize the amount of money that we can raise to support NABs. So I noticed something's in the chat. I will cover questions unless it's related to fundraising. Okay, no worries, Joanne. We'll send you the deck and the recording afterwards. So we're going to set a fundraising goal for each climber at $6,000. Build a plan with each one of them to get above and beyond, well above and beyond that mark. Just as a point of reference, climbers raised on average 10,000 during the last 2 climbs. So if you kind of follow along with the incentive examples that I've outlined here, if you raise 8,000, for example, nabs would cover half of your climb costs. So under that example, you would still be responsible for 2,500 of the climb costs and your flight. And then you project that out. On the high end, if you raise 14,000, we would completely cover your climb costs. And then you would only be responsible for your flight. Then of course, everything in between. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be sending this deck out afterwards, so you're going to have access to all the information in it. We'll send the recording out as well, so that you can rewatch any parts that you have specific questions on as well. So keep in mind, you're going to have the full support of the nabs team behind you in whatever market you're in. As I mentioned, climbers on average raised about 10,000 between the last 2 climbs. We're going to be providing you with best practices, tools and tips, admin support to help you collect funds raised, issue tax receipts, those types of things. You're going to have your own fundraising page. So if you've ever done personally, a big run campaign or a bike ride campaign for another big charity, that's the kind of setup that you would have for the Kili climb as well. We would give you creative assets that you can use on your socials and promote the campaign to your network. I'm going to be working directly with each and every climber to help them be successful. And I want to highlight a few things. There's a multitude of ways that you can potentially raise funds, just to give you a sense of how people have done this in the past. So your employer, in a lot of cases, your employer may at least partially or even fully match funds that you raise. We saw a lot of that last time. If you're able to bring sponsorship dollars in or get clients involved, we would give you credit for funds raised that way as well. Depending on what market you're in, there may be a big marketing communications community that we would rally around you to build a community side of things and that community support. And then we're going to help you plan events, community activities inside of your firms to help you fundraise as well. So it's very doable. And we're going to be in market top of March as we start signing climbers up over the next couple of weeks. You would have 8 months to fundraise, maybe even 9 for some people. They were able to raise some additional funds post-climb as well during the last few campaigns. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But we would be working with you at every step of the way. So what's next? Well, if you have any questions in today's session, feel free to drop them in the chat while I kind of close this out. First of all, if you're interested in doing this, reach out to me. I will add you to our shortlist so I can keep you updated as our plans are finalized. We've locked in the climb dates today. There's a few other pieces that we've locked in over the last week, and then we're going to start the process of registering climbers officially as of next week. So we have about 25 individuals on our shortlist so far. 10 of those are ready to go. And there's a few individuals that are kind of on the fence that are still considering it. So, we could fill up pretty quickly over the next month. Remember, we're looking to build a climb team of 20. Also, in the meantime, you can also reach out to Louise if you have questions about specific side trips or side trip ideas. She has a catalog of information that is great information with providers and everything, some costs that you should keep in mind as well. Encourage you to visit the Tanzania Elsewhere site to learn more about them, other opportunities that you can take advantage of when you're in market. Then do a little research. You can always come back to me with any questions that come up. I'm also running one-on-one sessions with everyone that's on that shortlist. I'm actually just completing my last one-on-one session this week. So the purpose of those sessions is to answer any final questions that you may have. So if you're curious and want to learn more, or you have questions that come up over the next week as you're doing your own research, reach out to me, get on the shortlist. You and I can set up a one-on-one conversation. I can answer any further questions that you may have about the climb. and then get you any additional information that you may be looking for. So if there are no questions, I'm going to thank everyone for joining us today. And looking forward to anyone reaching out to me. If you want to set up a one-on-one session, happy to do that. We can coordinate for something next week even, and get you going. And keep in mind, I just wanted to reinforce the fact that I have a lot of people shortlisted. So if you're really serious about this, you probably want to reach out sooner rather than later, because once we fill up that climb team of 20, we will most likely won't be running a second climb team during this campaign. So thank you very much, everybody. Last call for questions. I'm just going to stop sharing.